Okay, welcome everyone to this investor hour. It's the first time we try Zoom to do such investor hour right after a press release. Hopefully we can do it more often in the future. So before I start and before going further, maybe my friends from Nouveau Monde can open their camera. Yes, Pat and Philip, we saw you. We're just missing one other engineer, because it's very difficult for an engineer to connect to Zoom. So we're missing René, who will probably join us shortly. And by the way, the call will be all in English and I'll be able to answer questions in French. Donc, l'appel va être 100% français, mais à la fin, je serai en mesure de répondre aux questions en français au besoin. So maybe let me introduce our IR responsible and director of IR Investor Relation, Christina Lally. Maybe you can say a few words. Unmute you.
Myself, I just want to say thank you for joining the call. We're really excited about this news. It's milestone news for us. So if you have any questions, you can ask those questions by joining us through the chat. You'll see at the bottom of the screen that there's a chat button. And so after Eric's presentation, we'll be taking questions from you.
Great, and I just noticed that I didn't introduce myself. I'm Eric Desaulniers, the CEO and founder of Nouveau Monde Graphite. Maybe I can introduce you, our VP Marketing and Corporate Development, Patrice Boulanger.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this pivotal day in the long journey of Nouveau Monde Graphite. I think today's announcement will be showing you how credible our company is towards the active anode material in the battery industry. Have a good session.
Great, and also our Director of Technical Services for the Value Added Project, Philip Riekman.
Hi everybody, really nice to meet you all, and hope you have good information for this important milestone for Nouveau Monde.
Great, and Philip and Pat will be there with me. Hopefully. Oh, there you go. So René will open his camera right on time. Yeah. Yes. Great timing. René is the director of the purification project itself in Bécancour. So maybe you can say just a few words to introduce yourself, René.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is René Boisvert. As Eric said, I'm the project manager for the purification plant in Bécancour. I worked actually 30 years in the industrial park in Bécancour as technology manager and last 10 years as president of Bécancour Silicon. So I have a lot of experience with high temperature furnaces and purification of material.
Super. So the technical people and Christina will be there at the end of my presentation to answer a question you may have. So we wanted really to show you the people who are working specifically on the project. So this is it. Maybe I can start a presentation. I will be making forward-looking statements, so we'll do our best to explain exactly what we believe will be happening in the next few months. So it's forward-looking statements. So maybe one slide, the specific topics we want to talk about today is the announcement that we've discussed this morning, that we've announced this morning, and also the anode material program that we have in Bécancour in general. We won't touch much about the Matawini project in Saint-Michel-des-Saints, but maybe one slide to summarize the investment opportunity of Nouveau Monde, what we believe, why you should think about Nouveau Monde Graphite to invest in the new revolution that is happening in the lithium-ion batteries. So first of all, I think our project is very well timed. The commercial launch is timed to tap into the projected 500% growth in graphite demand in the next few years. So we're really well timed with the market. We are proposing to our customers and our investors a fully integrated project. So from the rock to the finished anode material directly selling to battery makers, all in a radius of few hundred kilometers in the province of Quebec. We are developing as well the first open pit all electric mine. This is super important to develop a carbon neutral operation and products. This is very appreciated, especially with European customers. We are by far North America's most advanced graphite project with strong near term. A few years of soon will be in the cash flow. And we are a good way to cater and be a good alternative to the Chinese controlled supply chain. This is super important. Graphite anode material comes from 100% from China today, and we are great alternatives for the customer in the Western world for such product. We're located in Canada and Quebec, a tier 1 mining jurisdiction with cheap hydropower and sustainable source of energy. We are, and this is super important, a low cost and also a large scale potential producer. It is the largest project that is currently being developed in the Western world. This is a meaningful scale for the big customers who are requiring big quantities. It's de-risked thanks to the way we are advancing the project. We have already ongoing production at our facilities in Saint-Michel-des-Saints. We'll talk about it. And this is exactly what we announced today, to a further de-risking of our project through a modular approach in the Bécancour Park. We have extremely supportive governmental and institutional shareholder base. And also we are in direct discussions with a dozen of customers who really want a player like us to be developed in the Western world. And it allows us, our preferential and access to the R&D, and the qualification period should be less long using this channel. So for the people who are not aware of it, our friend Elon Musk said a long time ago, this is a nickel graphite battery. So to make it simple, it's 1.2 kilogram of graphite in every kilowatt hour of battery capacity. So the anode material is in graphite, and the cathode, that's what varies between nickel, cobalt, lithium, aluminum, even iron phosphate. There's a lot of different chemistries, but the anode so far, it is graphite. And if you look, the projection from our friends at Benchmark Minerals, why we're doing all of this, when you look at the projection, this is a very, very important growth, especially starting in 2024, where over 2.3 million ton of graphite more will be needed from a market today of roughly 800,000 for flake graphite. So the growth projection, even if you look further to 2029, it is 3.5 million ton more of graphite. And it is without consideration to Tesla Battery Day, who are talking about 2 terawatt hour more. So now we are at 3 terawatt hours with over 160 plants that are being built on the planet. And now Tesla announced that they want to build 3 terawatt hour more. So this is quite a lot of product for sure. The market will be there. It's just our job to grasp it. And more specifically for us in the Western world, in North America and in Europe, this is about the quarter of that projected growth should happen in the next 10 years, currently with the plan in the Western world. And there's not much supply coming out of the Western world. We are really the largest project, the most advanced one. As you may already know, there's only one currently producing asset in North America. It is Imris. It is scheduled to shut down soon. The mine is fully depleted. So what we're offering is a fully vertically integrated large deposit with the value added coming from Bécancour straight for the customer at their doorstep. So geopolitical consideration is super important these days. A few weeks ago, the President Trump signed an executive orders about that, about the criticality of the graphite. So this is super important to offer a carbon neutral product at low cost in the Western world for those customers that you see on the map. So what we are announcing today. So today is a first significant milestones to a smart commercialization of our value-added process. This is why we really want to take the time to do an investor call with you so we understand what it means. So Olin, what is Olin? Olin is one of the largest chlor-alkali producer in the world, #1. And it's a very well-established company. They are very large also in the ammunition business. They are operating in the Bécancour Industrial Park since a long time. So what we have signed, the strategic agreement, is an exclusive 5 years agreement to supply us with all what we need. All the existing infrastructure is offered to us within their facility, the services, and also the chemicals, obviously, and the support and the safety and the HSE training and support to our operation. So for us, obviously, it is a lower capital requirement. It reduces a lot the permitting requirement and lead time, and it accelerates our commercialization quite significantly. So this is super important for us. So what Olin will do, we will build the furnaces that we have developed within their installation to have access to their existing infrastructure. So what we have developed in the last few years, why it is important, why we decided to go meet with Olin. We have developed 4 years ago, we have worked extensively with universities, labs, and even international experts in Asia to develop our own proprietary thermochemical technology. So what it means, it is high temperature process with a chemical injection to make sure that we have a very high quality, lot by lot consistency and low cost operation. So this is super important for us to be located in an area that provides low cost access to chemicals and also a way to repurpose our byproducts that's coming out of our operation in a very sustainable way and low cost way. And to maintain also our carbon neutral commitment to the market. So this will allow us really to make a cheap and low cost product and tap in the high purity graphite markets. There's a lot of high purity market graphite. This is the most popular, obviously, is the anode material for lithium-ion batteries, but also as much important is the fuel cell technology. They use a lot of jumbo flake purified that will be able to purify out of these operations. And also the foil used a lot in the heat dissipation business, like 5G is also using a lot of high purity graphite. So those markets will be able to approach them thanks to this agreement that we have with Olin to commercialize that graphite and that technology. So what is it specifically? If you look at the map, you can go even on Google and look the industrial park in Bécancour. You can zoom in. But what we can tell you, you see Olin is located in the eastern part of the park. We are using one of their 2 main hangars where we will build our 2 first purification furnaces. So we have already tested extensively in Asia and also in lab that technology, and we have confirmed we are making on specs the graphite that is needed for the customers. We are in the process in the next few months to deliver those kilograms, and then we needed a space to make it larger. So now we'll be able to provide to our customers in the upcoming months tons of products coming out of these furnaces. So this is one of the 2 hangars, the one that you see in red. So they will provide us the electricity, they will provide us the chemicals, both chlorine and caustic, and they will provide us the support, the safety, and the environment needed to develop this project. And what we are doing, our thermochemical process is a very good alternative to what the Chinese market is doing today. In China today, they are doing an HF, hydrofluoric acid leach. This process, it could be not so costly when you don't manage properly your waste water and all the rejects. Now in China, it becomes an increasing concern. They need to manage their waste. They need to be more proactive environmentally. So it is translated with higher costs in Asia. The alternative for them is to do a high temperature process similar to what we are doing. But the reality is their energy cost is much higher to what we can achieve in Quebec, 3 to 4 times in the best place in China. In Quebec, we can do very affordable, abundant electricity at low cost to allow to be very competitive cost-wise with what is currently made in China. And on top of it, sustainable, using hydroelectricity and working with the chemical experts like Olin to do a closed loop between what we are buying and what we need to manage as well. So this is very, very interesting. And where it fits in our business model, so we have a vertically integrated business model. This is very important for our customers. This is the way to do it to be very successful in the future. So what we do in Saint-Michel-des-Saints, 2 hours north of Montreal, that's the Matawini project. We have a flotation circuit that is operating now. We are close to start construction in the first half of 2021 of the mining project itself. We're planning to produce 100,000 tons a year from Saint-Michel. We produce flake. So you see that's coming out of the rock. And then we've started as well a demonstration facility in Saint-Michel-des-Saints where we do the first value-added step, which is shaping the flake to make a ball, making a spherical graphite. So we have commercial scale equipment that are fully commissioned and operational since few months already. We have pinpointed exactly the best operational parameters for the commercial operation. So we're making the balls, and what we're announcing today is the purification that we'll do in Bécancour to remove all remaining impurities from the graphite. And also we'll be announcing shortly the coating, the last step to put a carbon coating around those spherical graphite. So doing all of that, that's the full vertical integration that our customer want to see. We can increase the margins from $1,500 US to over $6,800. The price that is there, we've looked at the biggest seller in Asia today. That's the price that this seems to be selling. It used to be more in the 15,000. So it goes anywhere from this number to $10,000 a ton, depending on the specifics of your product and the relationship you have with your customer. So this is really our full vertical integration. So in a schematic, why this is super important to do this vertical integration from a low cost operation, mining operation, carbon neutral in Saint-Michel-des-Saints, to Bécancour. It's not even 2 hours drive. This is super important, where in Bécancour we have access to the cheap chemicals, the cheap electricity, and also the cheap raw materials coming from our mine that is less than 2 hours away. All of that in the best logistic framework. So there's a port in this facility in Bécancour. There's also railway right on the land that we have selected. There's all the highway going to Montreal and to Quebec City. And also there's the port that allows us to tap in the European market as well. So being fully vertically integrated in a radius of a few hundred kilometers like that allows Nouveau Monde Graphite to be very, very competitive for the future. This is what needs to happen for the customers in the lithium-ion battery space. So more numbers, specific numbers. The cost of the capex for the 2 furnaces, it is about 15 million Canadian. We've already spent 2, so there's 13 million remaining to be spent on the project. We are expecting for the first 12 months of operation about $2 million of OPEX. And the nameplate capacity of those 2 furnaces, depending on how much we can fit in and all the operational parameters, we expect to go as high as 1,500 for the 2 furnaces, so about 750 tons per year per furnaces. So depending how much we sell this product, between $5,000 and $8,000 a ton, we are expecting significant operating cash flow coming out of this operation. So this is quite important also in the project. It could be cash flow positive, which is super interesting as well. We are expecting a feasibility study in 2021 for the commercial scale land that we have acquired across the street from Olin, the 200,000 square meter land that we have across the street from Olin. We're doing a commercial scale feasibility study for 45,000 ton a year of conversion capacity. That's for the phase 1. The land can receive a conversion potential of 100,000 ton per year if we start supply and receive also graphite from other sources, so we can improve the we can increase the capacity to up as 100,000 ton per year because we have the space to do it. But the phase 1 is ready to receive what Saint-Michel Desaulniers is able to produce and be able to have 45,000 ton of anode material and purified flake graphite also for the other markets that I was talking about. So that's the cash flow projection for the for this project specifics. And why it's important, the thermochemical process we have developed allows us to tap in a lot of different markets. Similar to our operation in Saint-Michel Desaulniers, where we produce jumbo flake, large flake, medium flake, small flakes at different purities. Being flexible in what we can achieve in value added allows us to be diversified in our marketing. Obviously, the lithium anode material is the biggest growth that is projected in our business, but there's also a lot of very high margins, lower volume businesses that we want to be very efficient at tapping in, like the high purity flake graphite. The technology we have developed allows us to not only purify the small powder, but also the bigger flakes, which is not something that the HF purification methodology in China is very effective at doing. So this is very interesting for us to be able to be fully vertically integrated and diversified in our marketing approach. So as you see, so the people who follow the company since a few years and visited our operation in Saint-Michel Desaulniers, you probably noticed the level of expertise that we have within our flotation operation and our mining operation in Saint-Michel Desaulniers. I wanted to bring in today the team that you see there that has as much expertise for the value-added side of the business. Is super important for us to de-risk our operation and make sure that when we develop a process like that, we hire the best people and we make sure we move in an incremental way and de-risk the operation before the commercial. So what we have made in the past is proven to be very, very successful for us. We have qualified a lot of flake graphite customers and we've learned a lot of information out of our demonstration plan in Saint-Michel Desaulniers. And we are planning to do the same with the team that is on the line and the rest of the team that we have also people in Asia and some other people that are not on the line, but it's important and to make sure we build those projects with people who knows what they are doing and did it in the past. So what I really like, this cannot be timed. Luck is important once in a while. Our project is very well timed with the growth in the battery graphite demand. So the curve that you see there is actually the increase in demand that is projected year by year projected by our friends at Benchmark Minerals. And then we are really timed to start the construction right at the right time to be in production by 2023, when the demand will surpass the supply by a significant margin. So today the graphite prices are flat, but all customers, all experts are forecasting that when you start to see the electric cars on the road, you know, they need to start buying significant amount of graphite. And by 2023, 2024, just there will be a major deficit in graphite that will most probably impact the price, you know. So it's super important for us to be timed and be the first one to market and be very aggressive and never delay our project to make sure we are at 2023 capturing this great margin that we forecast with the increase in demand in graphite that will happen in the next few years. So, and we have proven in the past that we have always delivered what we were saying, and we were delivered on time. And that's what we're projecting to keep doing in the future with this value-added plant in Bécancour, and also the commercial operation that are projected in 2023. So in the next 9 to 12 months, what you should expect, we should expect in the next few months before Christmas, hopefully, the provincial decree for the Matawini project in Saint-Michel-des-Saints for the mining and flotation, the first branch of our business. So the decree is a significant milestones for us that should be received shortly. We will start the operation of the first modules in Olin's facility. We are projecting to start before mid-2021 those furnaces and start finishing the commissioning by then. And also we are planning to start the production of the coating and the anode material before the mid-2021 as well. So before mid-2021, our customers will have received all the product they need to be able to continue and support our long-term supply agreement discussions that we have with all of them. And we are planning to secure these agreements in place to be able to finance and start the construction of the commercial scale by 2022 on the land that we have already reserved in the industrial park across the street from Olin. So what we have to propose, a value proposition, if you're looking for a way to get into the lithium-ion revolution and a way to invest in there, I think what we are proposing is a very direct way to tap in this fantastic opportunity for all investors and all stakeholders. A fully vertically integrated project in the Western world. So there you go. So I'm ready to listen at all your questions, and maybe all my teammates can open the camera and help me answering all the very technical questions that we may receive.
Okay, Eric, I'm going to go through the questions and I'll direct them to one of our teammates that has the appropriate expertise. So the first one is for Patrice. So it comes from a lady listening in, and she's concerned with the research that we keep hearing about replacing graphite in the anode. So she explains that since Tesla's battery day, he spoke about a silicon polymer compound in the future that may or may not include graphene. So is graphite a necessary feeding stock? And how does silicon impact the anode going forward, and graphite consequently?
Good question. Yes, during the battery day, Tesla made it public that their aim in the R&D department was going towards a higher content of silicon on their anode. That being said, it doesn't mean that graphite gets entirely subsidized by silicon through that period of time. There is still a lot of research and development that needs to be done to make this anode viable long-term through many cycles, as silicon tends to expand more and contract more than natural graphite in this kind of environment. So what should be understood is through times there will be probably an incremental approach or content of silicon on the anode, but that will never substitute more than 50% of the content of the anode. Currently, the technology that we know, which is operating, is anywhere between 5 and 10% on commercial level. Anything beyond that is causing mechanical issues on the anode and cannot be sustained long-term. So the intent of the battery day was to show investors that there were also other routes to achieve higher performance on the anode, but this is absolutely not substituting graphite. It's only adding a certain percentage to optimize material performance.
Yeah, maybe I can add on that too. Thanks, Pat. It's funny, when I was expecting a new technology during the battery day on that side, and it was at the end of the battery day. So I was like, okay, what is about the anode material at the end of the battery day? And when they announced that they are planning to add silicon in the anode, wow, that's a great news, because all the experts working on it since 30 years, as Pat said, knows that, you know, there's a theoretical limit that you cannot go above. And it means you maintain graphite in the anode for a very long time when your purpose is just to increase the amount of silicon. Because there's three main technical reasons without going into much details. First of all, it expands 310%. Every time you discharge, it's expanding a lot. There's not enough room in the cells to maintain that expansion. And second of all, you cannot have a very, the limitation today is in the cathode material. The cathode material are at 200, the graphite at 372. You cannot have an anode that is in the 3000 in terms of capacity, that is very tiny. And also it's very unstable. The lithium 14 Si5 that is created in the reaction, it's a totally different reaction that is occurring in the anode, is very unstable. So the experts that are working with us, like we have the Dr. Karim Zagib, who did a fantastic note for us, technical note, who had the 30 years experience in both graphite anode and silicon anode, explained that for him, the maximum limit that you can add silicon into graphite is 30%. Above 30%, you start to have way too many problems. So we really expect 70% of 3 terawatt hour. It's a fantastic news for graphite. So even though they keep adding silicon, it's just good. It maintains the technology, lithium ion, more viable for a long time. So sorry, but I was asked so many times this question in the last few weeks that I really wanted to answer as well. Sorry, Pat.
Thank you, Eric and Pat. Okay, so we'll move along to the next question. Philip, I think you may want to tackle this question here. So it's sort of a two-part question. Someone wants I suppose, a bit more specifics as what exactly we'll be producing at the pilot plant at Olin. And then on to ask, will it be ready-made battery anode material, or are there any last steps before sending off to potential clients?
Yeah, basically what we're going to install in Bécancour, the furnace itself, it's quite flexible. What we installed, so we can make obviously anode material, the spherical graphite, and purify up to 99.95. But what we're going to install basically have enough flexibility that we can also do, for example, flake graphite and purify to a certain level. We have a lot of leverage in different places in the technology that will allow to do more than this 95.95 if needed. So it's flexible to respond to many demands of many customers based on what they need in terms of purification and what type of material they need to take out of the material, so of the graphite. So this is one important thing, that this allow us to almost custom made some material. And yeah, the last step, of course, like Eric discussed a little bit earlier, there's one last step. The spherical graphite need to have amorphic carbon on top, so a coating. And presently we're working on that. We already make some announcement with Forge Nano. This is another type of coating, and we're also working actively right now in developing our own technology for coating carbon amorph. That announcement should be made quite soon, I guess.
Okay, thanks, Philip. We appreciate it. René, on to you. I'm just filtering through some questions, and I've got something that I think you can tackle. We were talking about the services and chemicals that Olin will provide to us. Can you talk to us a little bit more about what the primary chemical is, and if there are any environmental impacts that we have to be concerned with?
As explained by Eric earlier, we're going to Bécancour and to Olin. Main point is that they will be providing the chlorine that is used in the reaction. Also the fact that we'll be going into an existing building. So as said earlier, this will greatly reduce the cost and accelerate the development. As far as waste or treatment, what I can say is that this process has no CO2 emission, only very small trace of CO. The water will be recycled during commercial operation. What is being produced is really, as we purify the material from a conservative 95% to 99.95, mostly salt and other metallic chloride are generated. And as Philip indicated, these furnaces will also be perfect for recycling anode material. So actually, we'll be able to handle a lot of material and really targeting a no waste operation, which is really different from what is happening right now in China with the chemical process.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one really interesting R&D projects that we will be also doing there, as René mentioned, we will be generating. We are buying chlorine, and then we are buying also caustic in the other part in the scrubber to make salty water. Salt is the feedstock of Olin, so we will work hard at finding a way to be able to give them back the salty water with the chloric metallic impurities, so we can make a closed loop with them. So this is what being close to them allows us to do. Instead of having to manage our own reject, we can work with them to also tap this very, very interesting R&D project that this demonstration furnaces will be able to allows us to do.
And
Okay.
maybe, Christina, one point that I may add is that for a lot of people, chlorine might sound something very dangerous that they don't want to get close to. This is one of the reasons we're working with Olin, which are expert in that field. We've completed a very thorough hazard and operability analysis, and also layer of protection analysis with them and their US expert. And every system regarding waste treatment will be redundant. We will apply really the latest technology to make sure that we have a very safe process. We already have our construction authorization from the ministry on hand, and we've applied for our operation certificate back in July, and that includes a full dispersion analysis. So we're going through all really the steps to make sure that we have a very, very safe process and that we're recycling every waste that is being produced.
And sustainable. Yeah, great.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, René. Eric, I think I'll turn to you. We've got some really interesting questions, and they're more general in nature. So you mentioned very quickly earlier that Mr. Trump in the US has signed an executive order to secure battery minerals. So the question is, and he wants to do so locally. The question is, does this exclude Nouveau Monde, or will NMG be able to sell to the US market?
That's a good question. It's funny, because we cannot vote. No one on the panelists can vote in the US next week, but if it's either Trump or Biden has the green hack, that is also something very attractive for us. And Mr. Trump recognized the fact that the strategic minerals are key for the North American market. There's no supply chain in the US currently. So it's rather, who's your best friend? Is it the Chinese or it's the Canadian? So we like to think that our agreements with American companies like Forge Nano, as Philip pointed out, and our location here and our constant discussion with American customers allows us to be probably a better geopolitical solution to diversify from the Chinese market. There's trade agreements with Canada since a long time, and we believe we are part of this this market. It's an integrated market, Canadian and America. So we really believe that the quality of our deposit and the vertical integration that we are doing in Quebec cannot be reproduced in the US. So we want to be really part of the supply chain in the US.
Okay. Eric, can you talk to us a little bit more about our peers, or competitors, if you want to call them that, and how they differ from ourselves?
I would say the main competition is coming from Asia. As I said, there's a lot of startups, there's a lot of junior projects, but it's difficult to know which one will move on and which one won't. So the one we can comment on is the Asian market. The biggest competitor we have is probably a company that is public named BTR New Material Group. This is a good example for the investors to go see. It's a $3 billion US company. It's the largest provider of anode material. They are fully vertically integrated. They have currently 3 mines in China, and they announced in December that they are building a 4th mine. They are selling 65,000 tons last year of anode material at an average price of $6,800, the one that we've used in our presentation. So this is the competition. These guys in the last few years developed a very simple process, and they are able to make a low-cost product that is bought currently by most of the Western world customers. So we want to be it's a good thing that it standardized a little bit this product that was in the past a niche thing. Anode material a few years back was low volume and niche, and there was a lot of different anode material. But I must say that this is the competition. I mean, all the others are trying to follow the parade, but when you look at them, the strength that they are the only one fully integrated in the world, with mines up to the finished product. And they are successful in terms of cost and in terms of volumes, and they are meaningful for customer. So the good thing is they cannot really export that model without a mine. So we have the deposit, we have the infrastructure here in Quebec to do something very successful based on what is currently working in our competition in Asia. Short.
Okay, well said. We have a few questions regarding the capital that will be required to move forward on the demo plant. Can you talk a bit about the capital needs going forward?
For the demonstration plan, as I said, we have still 13 million Canadian remaining to invest to build the furnaces. Obviously we will finance that based on our cash position today, and also on the grant that we have received. So we have received support from the federal government, the SDTC, Sustainable Technology Development Canada. They granted us a 4.5 million grant for this project, and also the Technoclimat on the provincial level provided us a $3 million grant on this. So all that money is actually was announced a few months ago, but it was really for this project that we're announcing today. So the project for the purification furnaces is fully financed, and we are moving forward with that.
Okay. And if we could talk, maybe the last question, because we're nearing an hour's time, talk about the support. So whether it be government support, community support, just, support and engagement from stakeholders. Yeah.
Obviously, stakeholders for us is super important. We are very proactive in that sense in Saint-Michel-des-Saints. Our mining project is very heavily supported. Since 2 years, we have made surveys in the community, and we're every time above 82-83% support from the local community. So it's super important when you manage the natural resource of a community. You need to take it very seriously. And what the track record that we have in Saint-Michel-des-Saints and the lesson learned in Saint-Michel-des-Saints, how to do that thing early in the project and be very proactive. We want to do the same in Bécancour make sure that we develop this project in partnership with the community. And when you do that with the community and you're a good corporate citizen, the government is there and is willing to invest in your project and be part of it. And we are very lucky that it is one first priority of our government to invest in the supply chain for lithium ion. Our government is very proactive in that sense. There's a lot of big ecosystem in Quebec, in raw materials, but also in end users. So and our government announced, and I think there's a big announcement this Friday from our government. They will announce their strategy in the electrification of transport. So they are our second largest shareholder, very supportive. So I cannot dream of a better place to develop this project than Quebec.
Okay, great, thanks. Just because you touched upon the environment, recycling, maybe one last question that I just saw come through, and it's quite interesting, and I think Pat can respond to it. Do we see any way in which our plants, our demo plants, or I suppose later commercial plants, can play a role in recycling batteries, taking disposed EV batteries and producing anode material from them?
Absolutely. Nouveau Monde has established alliances and relationship with a few companies that are specialized in recycling lithium-ion batteries. And some of the black mass, which contains a lot of graphite coming from the anode of the batteries, are now being addressed. And we have performed certain lab tests so far where we see the potential of mid to long-term recycle this graphite material into a usable active material. So absolutely. So we have done several steps, and what we will intend to do in Bécancour is we will also have large-scale testing on recycling natural graphite coming out of the battery system. So absolutely, Nouveau Monde is deeply involved in this kind of activity right now.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I like to add something, so I will again. But one thing that is super interesting is everyone looking at the cathode material. All the recyclers are currently focused on the cathode side because that's where the money is for them. So there's no justification for them to invest a lot in the process for the black mass and the anode side, and even less that building the furnaces that we are doing and developing this expertise. So there's a great market opportunity for us to grasp, to work with the recyclers and be a solution for them for the black mass and the anode side. And this opportunity is for us to take with the thermochemical process we have developed. This is a great opportunity, and we have ongoing confidential discussion with few recyclers as we speak. Hopefully, we can be more vocal about it in the near term.
Okay, great. Eric, I just want to leave off on one question that I'm being posed a few times here. If you can just say a few words regarding the receipt of the mining permit, and I suppose a bit of the aftermath of the BAP process and what that means for the mining permit. And maybe we can wrap up the call there. For everyone on the call, we'll do our best. If there's any questions that we haven't posed live online, we'll do our best to answer those and get back to you. Feel free to reach out to any of us on the team. I'm always available to ask further questions by email or by phone, of course. And this presentation will be made available following the call. So Eric, go off to you.
Yeah.
And
okay, so we are very fortunate in Quebec to have a very public and transparent process for permitting, and one of the last steps is the BAP, the public hearings on environment. So we were very fortunate to be able to do it right before the COVID. Actually, we were probably the last public event like that just before the pandemic. So we received a report in June. The report was received actually as a recommendation for the Ministry of Environment. They've included those recommendations, and since this summer we had a lot of interaction with Ministry of Environment, answered a lot of questions and make sure we engage ourselves in different things moving forward. So I must say that all the questions, all the engagement were made already, and we answered everything. And we're ready at this point, waiting for our permits. There's nothing outstanding in terms of in the public, in the BAP report that is preventing us of receiving that decree. It's just basic administration in the next few weeks, months. Once we need a decree from the cabinet of all the ministers, so this takes time, and they are very busy these days. We see them probably every day at 1 hour talking about the pandemic. So we really expect that we will be part of this relaunching of the economy that needs to happen also post-pandemic. So we are very confident to get everything on time before Christmas.
Thank you. Did you want to wrap up the call?
Sure. So thanks a lot. I think I really like this investor hour, and it probably helps all of you to understand what it means. Because we do a lot of announcement, and our team on the line, we know what it means, but I think it's great to have this communication and allows you to ask questions, and also we can make more precise presentation on specific topics like that. And hopefully you'll keep following us in the next few weeks, months. We're really busy and we're really committed to make this happen. Our projects like ours need to happen, and the whole team is very, very motivated on what they are working on.
Thanks, Eric. So again, thanks everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Super. Thank you.